Okay, Sebastian, I saw you at the gym yesterday. Yeah, saw you working out. What were you benching, like 300, 350, something like that. I was pretty impressed. Sebastian, of the three types of muscle that are present in our body, which muscle were you utilizing while you were at the gym bench pressing 300, 350 pounds? Smooth muscle is incorrect. Kylie? Skeletal muscle, because guess what skeletal muscle is attached to in your body? Your muscle is attached to muscle? Bone. You know what we call muscle attached to bone? Skeletal muscle. That's going to be the first muscle we will discuss today. I get it. What a weak answer. Weak muscle. Do you mean to say that? No. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when I toss this clicker up in the air, when I move my jaw up and down to speak to you, when Nikita makes little beatboxing noises on his desk with his pencil, that is all controlled by skeletal muscle. When you walk to class, when you drive your car, when you blink your eyelids, that is all skeletal muscle. You are in control. When you go to the gym, you say 1, you do 1, 2, do another, 3, how about a third? Keep going. This is skeletal muscle tissue. It is attached to your bones. What type of tissue connects your muscles to your bones? Tendons. Very good. Tendons connect your muscle to your bone. We'll get into that more in a couple of units from now. Your skeletal muscle tissue is made up of skeletal muscle fibers. We call them fibers instead of cells because they are long. They're long like clothing fibers. I'm going to give you some things, some traits and characteristics to look out for to help you distinguish skeletal from smooth from cardiac. These muscles are found throughout your entire body from head to toe. You have a lot of them. And for starters, kind of get you ready for this number. Do any of you know how many total bones an adult human is supposed to have? 206. Do you know how many muscles there are? About 600, 630-ish. A lot of people are in a disagreement as to whether one muscle is considered a muscle or two, but it's generally in the neighborhood of 600. You will not have to learn all 600. For my class, you'll have to learn less than 100. And they're all in Latin. You already know a few of them, I'm sure. Pectoralis major, abdominis muscles, trapezius, latissimus, gluteus maximus, and so on and so on. So when it says the location in skeletal muscles attached to bones or occasionally to skin, it's every part of your body that you have the ability to move and even parts of your body that you don't have the ability to move. But you have to have muscles to move. And if you have a ruptured tendon, you can't move that muscle. When people have a ruptured Achilles tendon, which attaches your calf muscle to your foot, they can't move their foot. Can't really walk. So let's talk about the actual tissue and the actual cells to help you differentiate one type of tissue from the other. This whole image is muscle tissue. It is composed of muscle cells, but because the cells are so long, we call them fibers, skeletal muscle fibers. They are striated. They're stripy. I'm going to zoom in on that. See the striations? They're definitely stripy. Also, they are multinucleated, which means they are so long, they have more than one nucleus in each fiber. And again, a fiber is a cell. So these are long cylindrical shaped cells called fibers. They're multinucleated and they're striated. This muscle you do control. When we get to smooth muscle, I'm going to tell you that one of the organs that is made of smooth muscle is the uterus. And I had someone earlier today say, well, if the smooth muscle makes up the uterus, then why did the doctors tell the mother to push when she's having a baby? Why? It's smooth, she can't control it. And so your logic is absolutely right. Why would they tell her to push if the uterus is smooth muscle and we can't control that? Because pushing out the baby is a combination of the uterine muscle contractions and the pelvic muscle contractions. To basically put it in layman's terms, it's the same muscles that you use to poop. In fact, you know what happens sometimes when we give birth? Some women poop. I had a friend of mine who gave birth 5 weeks ago, and she said, oh, please, God, don't let me poop. It's typically 50-50. She didn't, but it does happen. Make a lovely dinner conversation with your family tonight. Mom, was I pooped on? I was a C-section baby. I didn't go near the poop. But maybe some of you who were born vaginally, who knows? I'll let you ask that question. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. I do have some videos to show you after all this, but because I'm recording this lesson, I want to keep going. Next is going to be cardiac muscle. This is only found in your heart, nowhere else in your body, and you do not control it. This is involuntary. You cannot control it. You don't want to control it. It is involuntary. It is also made of muscle fibers because they're long, but they are uninucleated, which means only one nucleus, and they have these intercalated discs. I'll explain to you momentarily, but they are striated. You might get these confused between skeletal and cardiac, but there's a couple big differences. But it's only found in the walls of your heart because your heart has to actually be able to pump blood. It has to have enough force to pump blood all the way up to your brain and then all the way down to your feet and back again. And just like you would need a lot of muscles to push a car or to push food down through your digestive system, you need muscle to push blood throughout your heart. And that's what your heart does with its cardiac muscle tissue. Wait a moment for you guys to jot this down. Oh boy. Can you get that, Lance? It's behind Loki. Okay. I once had a student say, Mr. Thorson, I can control my cardiac muscle. I asked him, okay, really? How'd you do that? I run really hard and my heart beats faster. Okay. Can you make your heart beat faster sitting here right now? No. Then you can't control it. Yeah, I can when I run. Okay, let's examine that. What does your heart beat? What does it pump? Blood. What is carried in the blood? Oxygen. When you're running, what type of muscle are you using? Skeletal muscle. What does your skeletal muscle run on in order to continue to work? Oxygen. Your heart is pumping that oxygen because your muscles are burning through oxygen. Your heart's not beating fast because you are controlling it. Now, let's go over some of the differences here so that you can not get these confused on Thursday. Remember, I'm giving you the answers to the test now. It's just up to you to study. These muscles are fibrous and they are striated, but they kind of branch differently than skeletal muscle does. They're uninucleated. They only have one nucleus, but here's the big one. They have these intercalated discs. These intercalated discs separate one muscle fiber from another. So this right here, this is one muscle fiber. Here's one more. Here's one more. That separates them. This is the end of one cell, beginning a new one. Up, the end of another one, beginning a new one. Intercalated discs are only found in skeletal muscle fiber. Cardiac muscle fiber. You will not find these in skeletal muscle. Yes, Lance.
Why don't all these segments have?
They didn't show up on the stain. That's all. They're embedded inside. Okay, now for the third and final. Sebastian, which one is it? Smooth muscle. Do you control it?
No.
You do not. These cells are not fibrous. If you look at the drawing underneath description, they are kind of flattened. They almost kind of look like squamous cells, but they have the ability to contract. They fit in with each other like a blanket or a sheet. They do contract, everybody. Smooth, all three muscles contract. That's a big trait of all muscles. Smooth muscle contracts. You just cannot control it. Another thing I like to share with you, I think I shared with every class. I'll say it one more time. Long time ago, I had a young lady who was grimacing in her seat. She was just kind of like, hissing and ouching, and she was having cramps. And this boy sat next to her and says, "Stop doing that. What are you doing?" She says, "I'm having cramps." And he told her to stop it. And I told him to run because she cannot control it, because smooth muscle cannot be controlled. And it's an awful feeling to know that you're not even in control of your own body. You are not in control of the majority of your body. You don't control when your hormones secrete, when your food digests, when a neurotransmitter fires. You don't control any of that. You guys basically control your muscles and a few other capacities psychologically, and that's about it. These cells, this tissue helps push things like food through your digestive system, blood through your circulatory system. When it comes to uterine contractions, you can either push out the endometrium during a typical period or a baby when it's time to give birth. You also have some of it in your urinary bladder, but the general trait is that they're found in hollow organs. Smooth muscle is found in most of your hollow organs. And I know it on the location, it just says hollow organs. I want us to be more specific than that. So after you're done with this slide, I'm going to go to a quick list, and I want to see if we can actually write down all the different types of organs that you would expect to find smooth muscle. It's not a crazy amount. Y'all ready? Okay, I'll give you another minute. But look at this image here. See how they're organized? They just basically fit in with each other, and they do look a whole lot like squamous cells, but squamous cells are epithelial cells. These are muscle cells. Ready now? No objection? Okay. So let me switch screens here. Can you guys tell me some hollow organs in your bodies? Stomach does have, let's write this down. Organs with smooth muscle. What is the organ that leads to your stomach from your mouth? Esophagus. What does your stomach lead to? Small intestine. What does your small intestine lead to? Large intestine. What's the end of your large intestine? Rectum is on the inside. Anus is on the outside. What else is hollow? Lance? Uterus. Yep. Also some ducts of male reproductive system, like some piping, I guess you could say. The fallopian tubes. Those are smooth muscle. They actually push the egg into the uterus. Push, like physically push. They have contractions. Veins and arteries. They're made of smooth muscle. And then the bladder has a little bit. So these are all hollow organs. Now, this next term is a very important term for you all to know. You'll hear a lot of it when we get to the digestive system, but because it involves smooth muscle and half of our list here is the digestive system, I think it's important to say, when you swallow food, gravity does not take food to your stomach. I used to have a kid come up to the front of the room, stand on his hands upside down, and I would feed him a cracker. He would chew up the cracker and then swallow it, and it would go up his stomach because he's upside down, to prove that gravity doesn't do this. It's actually contractions pushing the food. These contractions are known as peristalsis. If you wanted to describe the contractions, we call them peristaltic contractions. I'm going to show you videos of peristaltic contractions in the small intestine. I'll try to find the esophagus if I can, but it's not easy to find. Okay, I'm going to end the recording now, but if you are online and you want to look up peristaltic contractions, just YouTube peristalsis or peristaltic contractions.